I want to talk about how feminism inadvertently ruined it for the Y generation. I'm 25 years old, and I guarantee you that everybody my age is going to have problems with relationships, and or if you're getting that age where you want to get married, will definitely, more than not, more chance than our parents, and this 50-50 thing will get a lot worse, okay? You will have a harder time than anyone else. Let's get on the right to vote, okay? Because this whole feminism thing, you know, I'm told that all the time, though, the right to vote, okay? Yes, it did have some good aspects, but keep in mind that your average man was not able to vote until the late 1800s. Before then, it was only landowners. And it wasn't about keeping the woman down. It wasn't about that at all. The family structure was the main centerpiece for American life. So what we did was we took, or the society at that time, took the voting privileges from just the wealthy and the landowners to the family structure. They figured a family unit equals one vote. One. And so then we have abolished the family structure in so facto by having this no-fault divorce, which is ridiculous. Before you had to prove who was at fault. Now, I mean, we already know the problems with no-fault divorce. It's ruined the institution of marriage, just as the editorial has been ranting about before, and I agree. And it's even worse for my generation. Now, in the family structure, there was a lot of benefits. The mother and father would stay together, and when your kids got old enough to date, usually they were able to screen out the people who were good for you and the people who were bad for you. You knew that if the guy walking in the house was a jerk, that he would get chased away by the father, right? Because they knew you better than you knew yourself, especially being a teenager or in your early 20s where you're going out and you're looking for that biochemical high that person you're attracted to gives you so much. And we all know that that biochemical high wears off, right? And it's not love. Love comes after that. It's compromise. We already know what that is. So we do away with the family structure, and what happens is through no-fault divorce, which happened in my parents' generation. Okay, even more so. My parents stay together. You know, my grandparents stay together. But suddenly, I'm in the dating field, and I see my morals and the values that was taught to me, because you know my raising was heavily religious, and I mentioned I wasn't heavily religious myself, but they're incompatible with the modern women. And what I found is that through reading and reading and reading, going to Borders and trying to pick up every book that I could on relationships, and most of them are very women-centered to begin with. You will rarely find a book that has to do with comforting the man when your relationship goes to crap and she decides to pick up and leave. No. So what happens is that these kids, you know, kids that are my age get raised in these single-parent households with no father figure, or if you're with a father figure, you still don't have a mother nurturing parent to teach you how to court. Courtship inadvertently also, because of, you know, the evils of chivalry, got abolished. Now the problem with this is that the chivalrous tide of courtship and the family structure was abolished. It's gone. It's pretty much ruined on both ends. But they failed to replace it with anything. It defies all logic whatsoever. As men, okay, if the women were to set straight out rules and regulations of what they wanted instead, we would be able to adapt to that. But since they take feminism and they go on one line to the other on how it suits their needs at the moment, right? Because what we find out what feminism is about, we read all what they believe, and then when we call them on it, they're like, oh no, well, I'm over here. Oh no, wait, that's not working out for me. What it really meant is this. So they can't even follow their own rules, right? They'll still go at the bar, bat their eyes, and try to sexually attract some other guy, when before they were saying that was demeaning to women, right? Okay, so the courtship thing is gone. People in my generation, as I was saying, is having the worst of it. I know some of you have been making videos, and you know some of you dated in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, and I'm telling you it's worse for us. You had a problem, but we're having it worse. We don't even know how to date anymore. We have a multiple choice society. We've got the era of MySpace. We've got social profiles everywhere, okay? So that if we don't find the person that we want, then we just go and we find an upgrade. It's really simple. Where before, maybe in the 50s, 60s, 70s, we didn't have all that. or you guys didn't have all that, and so you met through introduction, or you met through parties, or you had a limited choice to choose from. And so, since we don't know what's compatible, and we weren't taught from our parents, or the many people around me weren't taught from their parents what to look in a mate, what's compatible, what real love is, how to deal with the fact that when the biological chemical high wears off, how to keep a relationship going through communication, through compromise, and through dealing with problems. And that a relationship isn't always going to be perfect. The butterflies aren't always going to be there. You can get them back, you can work on your desire for each other, but you're not going to like each other every day. In fact, some nights you may hate them, but that might go after a week and you'll feel a little bit better. They're not taught that. So at the first sign of the leaving of the butterfly stage, these women get up and jet. Well, the men do too. But there was this experiment that I was reading about in this book called Unhooked, and it was talking about the unhooked generation and the problems that my generation faces. And they did a study after study consecutively, and they put 20 men and 20 women in a room, and they would have them have, without them knowing it, and have social experiments. Now what they found is that less than 10% of these women, okay, I mean 80% of these women went for less than 10% of the men. Now, the reason why feminism shortchanged both of us is because the woman wants to feel all free and everything else, and they get out right when they're 18 and they screw around in their 20s because they looking for the one. Now, instead of having a set standard of the qualities that we would like in a mate, okay, to see what's compatible, what we do is, to get over the fact that it might not work, we say it wasn't meant to be, or there's a soulmate. So we've taken logic away and we've smoothed it over with the mythological soulmate figure. Oh, it wasn't meant to be, then that wasn't my soulmate. What the? It defies all logic. All right. So now the problem is we don't know how to date. Do I call him 3 days later? Do I pay for the dinner? Does she pay for the dinner? What kind of person is she? Do we go 50-50? Do I open the door for her? Well, she thinks I'm too nice. Do I have to be cocky, funny? The pickup artist, that whole thing, is ridiculous. I mean, that you have to do that to attract a woman now. All right, but that's ridiculous. It's stupid. We don't even know how. We got to be taught over again. And another reason why feminism messed it up for both of us is now the woman is looking for something that's not. She's looking for a thrill ride because she thinks that the butterfly stage is in fact love when it is not. So they go for the bad boy that gives them the emotional roller coaster that the nice guy can't give them. And I'm not saying everybody's nice. I'm not saying you're a pushover. But we were indoctrinated through high school. We were indoctrinated from our mothers, if you're from a single mother family, that through feminism, this is what we want in a man. We want him to be nice. We want him to be courteous. We want him to be this and that and this. You can be a woman's Prince Charming. Do everything that they require, everything they tell you that they want. They will get bored, pick up, and leave to get that biochemical high that they're after. They weren't taught any better. We don't know any better. All right? Now, another thing, and a prime example of what my generation is going through, and I read this book too, is called He's Just Not That Into You, I think. I read the book and then I saw the trailer on TV, and it's ridiculous. It's a prime example of what my generation is going through, and it screwed it up. And I'm tired of playing the game, and, my values are incompatible. I'm picking up. I'm going overseas. Hopefully it lasts overseas as long as it is, because this is frickin' ridiculous. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Till next